Epilogue. Dylan walked into school just as the warning bell rang. It was a new school year, a new chance, a new opportunity, and he was feeling like a new kid. Junior high. A new school. He hadn't been grounded for the rest of his life, but he did end up spending an extra week in Michigan with his grandparents. His parents stayed too, and all of them went on hikes and told stories. Dylan even made one up about the killer koala that escaped from the Kalamazoo Zoo, only to terrify the kids in Kalkaska. They painted and wrote and talked, and he hardly even thought about Atlas Quest, or the fact that his tablet was laying somewhere at the bottom of Lake in the Woods. They went to town and ate ice cream. He even went back to the library to check out a book, Myths and Legends of the North Woods, which he read and returned before he went home. That summer he went to a science camp, but also volunteered at the community center, reading books to kindergartners in the child care center. After he was done, he would go to the pool and swim until his muscles would no longer carry him. By the end of the summer, he was able to swim a mile without stopping. He'd keep practicing, but he felt like that might be enough if he ever gets into trouble again. He started writing in a journal that Grandma mailed to him for his birthday and tried to write a new story every day. By the time he showed up for the first day of school, he'd almost filled every page. He liked telling stories, it turned out, which surprised him most of all. That's probably why he was looking forward to his first period English class so much. He walked into the class and was a little surprised by what he saw. Standing at the front of the room was Mrs. Kravitz. She had changed jobs over the summer, but not personalities. She rolled her eyes when she saw Dylan walk in and sit down in an empty seat near the front of the room. The bell rang and Ava and Troy came in, giggling as if they were on some private joke. They too saw Dylan and rolled their eyes. "Welcome to your first day of junior high," Mrs. Kravitz said in her old lady voice. "I'm Mrs. Kravitz. Many of you will know me from last year, and those of you who do will know I will not tolerate disrespect. Isn't that right, Mr. Michaels?" She turned toward Dylan, who sat with a smile on his face, waited for a response. He said nothing, and so she went on. "This year we'll be covering legends, myths, and mythology, from the Greeks to the Native Americans. Does anyone have a problem with that?" Again, her eyes turned to Dylan. Ava's hand shot in the air. "Yes, Ava, darling," the teacher said. "Yeah, Dylan is going to be a distraction to all of us who actually want to learn. He hates this kind of stuff," she said, glaring at Dylan the way that she glares. "I share your concern, Ava," said Mrs. Kravitz. "Perhaps Mr. Michaels would feel more comfortable transferring to a class more to his liking. Biology or physics, perhaps?" She walked over and stood directly in front of Dylan's desk, her hard, glaring old lady look trying to burrow into his soul. "No, ma'am, Mrs. Kravitz," Dylan said and he couldn't help but smile. "I can't wait to hear all the stories you've got to tell." The end.